Hey everybody, it's time for another movie and night review as I just got done watching 1988's Child's Play starring Brad Dourif, Catherine Hicks, Chris Sarandon and Alex Vincent. This one I've only seen a few times before and in actual fact I'd seen pretty much a good chunk of the Evil Doll parodies before I got round to doing this, including the Simpsons episode, the Treehouse of Horror episode where Krusty's alive, the Krusty doll is alive, and Chinga, the season 5 episode of The X-Files, written by Stephen King. So I was pretty well versed. Also, I'm pretty sure there's a Twilight Zone episode dealing with an evil doll. So I was quite versed in the whole evil doll thing before I saw this movie. But it's still a good laugh, no matter how many of those things you've seen. So for anybody who doesn't know, it tells the story of Charles Lee Ray, who's this bank robber or some kind of... He's on the run. Basically, he's being pursued by these cops, and his escape driver literally escapes before he gets a chance to get in the car. So he has no choice but to... He goes in the nearest building, which happens to be a toy store, and he's been shot and he's dying, and he uses this voodoo, macumba, whatever kind of spell that he's been taught to transfer his soul into the nearest item, which happens to be something called a good guy doll, which is this like 3-foot tall talking doll based off a television cartoon series. So he does that. The shop starts to burn down, and the next thing you see is you cut to Andy, played by Alex Vincent, who's a big fan of the Good Guys series. He has the pyjamas and the slippers and the cereal and everything like that. But he really wants one of these talking dolls, except his single mother is struggling to get by, and she hasn't had chance to save up for one, which he's really disappointed by. But during a lunch break at work, a friend of hers tells her that there's some peddler down in the back alley that's selling one of these dolls really cheap. So she goes, and it turns out that this guy has picked up the possessed doll from the building. So she manages to get it extra cheap and stuff, and Andy's happy, but he's being looked after by his mother's friend, because she's been called into work, and he's playing with his new toy and that, and the babysit's a bit of a bitch, to be honest, and Chucky, Charles Lee, who's now embodied in this plastic doll and going by the name of Chucky, he kills the babysitter by hitting her in the face with this little hammer. He just literally goes bonk, and she throws herself backwards through a window and falls down from like the 4th story or something like that, and dies. And basically then Chucky goes on like this killing rampage. He goes to kill the driver that left him behind, and he's dead set on killing the police officer that shot him, who conveniently turns out to be the guy that's dealing with the death of this babysitter. So now I'm left to believe that actually Charles Lee was a murderer. I really didn't get much into his story, because you start off when he's on the run, so there are some news reports on that, but I tend not to pay attention to them when I'm paying attention to what's on the screen. So this detective, played by Chris Sarandon, he's of course Andy's insisting that it's his doll, and they're all, even the mother is just like, "You're absolutely crazy." The detective Mike thinks that it's the kid, and the mother just is like, "I have no clue," except then it becomes more obvious that it is Chucky. So Chucky goes to see this voodoo guy who's taught him this curse thing, and finds out that he needs to retransfer his soul. He needs to do it into the first person that he revealed his true self to, which of course turns out to be Andy. So then Chucky's on this mission to transfer his soul to Andy's body. But yeah, it's just this whole thing, and of course the mother and Detective Mike realise that actually Chucky is alive, and they have to stop him before he can possess Andy. It's such a campy movie. It's, you know what, it's not a scary movie, it's freaking hilarious. This is essentially a comedy, but for horror fans. It's silly, it's over the top. Brad Dourif especially is over the top, in the most insane way. But it's enjoyable. It's so silly. This feels slightly older than 1988. But you know, it's such a good laugh to see. Some of the puppetry, and even some of the really obvious little person running around in a costume effects are it's just a good laugh. Like I say, it's not particularly scary. It's only 15 rated, which is even funnier considering it's about a murderous talking doll. The worst thing about these stories, though, is when I was a little girl, I was a big tomboy and stuff, and I wasn't into dolls. My parents didn't like that. And they bought me one of those walking, talking dolls. And obviously, this is before I knew all about these kind of stories and stuff. And they bring out this doll, and they turn it on, and it starts walking and talking. I shit myself. I ran out into the hallway, pulled the door shut, and absolutely refused to let my parents, near me while they had this doll. So every time I see these kind of stories, it just immediately evokes that memory, just brings it to the forefront and actually disturbs the shit out of me. So the talking evil doll is not an original story, but the presentation here is fun. That's all. That sounds really bizarre to say about horror movie, but it's just so silly. If you like all the kind of talking doll stories, Buffy is the other one with the ventriloquist dummy. That's the other one I knew before I'd seen this. If you like all those kind of incarnations, if you've seen a lot of those, you definitely need to check this out, because although it's not the first, it's the one that has inspired a lot more of the similar story. I see this as a springboard for the genre kind of thing. But yeah, no, it's not scary, except maybe to me because of the whole evil talking doll thing. It's not scary, but some of the effects are good. My main nitpick, ironically, through this whole movie is there's a scene at the end when the police officer's lying there after being attacked by Chucky, and his partner comes in, and Detective Mike says, "Oh, Chucky, it was Chucky. He's out there. He's in pieces spread across the hallway." The thing is he wouldn't have known that. He cannot see out into where Chucky has been sprayed. He has been in that room the whole time, and nothing's been said to him between that happening and this other guy coming in for the detective to know about that. So that was a really bad continuity error. But you know what? Everybody's got to acting in this, no matter how campy. The kid Alex Vincent playing Andy really got to me in a kind of... He's not perfect, but I really enjoyed his performance. I really felt bad for him. He does kind of... It was an amazing... There are a lot worse child actors, let's say that. And for an 80s horror film, it was quite impressive. The pacing's quite good. It's only an hour and 20 minutes long, so a lot actually gets told. I mean, you don't think it, because when I explain it, it sounds like a really plain story. But actually quite a lot happens in that, 80 minutes. So if you get a chance, if it's a horror, if you love your horror movies, or if you're not a big fan of like slashers and the gore fest movies, but you really want to get into horror, this is worth checking out. And especially if you've got 80 minutes to kill, it's just a good laugh, over the top kind of silliness. So yeah, that was... I'm sorry, there's not much more I can say to this. Like I say, this story is so overtold. It's difficult now for me to talk about it without feeling like I'm talking about every single story out there regarding this subject. So just give it a try if you get the chance. It's not perfect by any means, but you know what? It doesn't try and be deep. It doesn't try to do more. I think it realises that it's just a silly story. So yeah, that was 1988's Child's Play. We'll be back again tomorrow with Bride of Chucky. I do not own Child's Play 2 and 3 on DVD. I've seen 3 for definite. I'm pretty sure I've seen 2. But I just don't own them on DVD yet. For anybody who didn't know, Child's Play 3 was actually banned in the UK for a good length of time because it was blamed for being the cause of the Jamie Bolger abduction and murder by 2 young teenagers who'd apparently seen Child's Play 3. So that took ages for that to come back out. Like I say, I have seen it, and it's not much better than this, but I don't remember much about it. But yeah, we're going to be jumping ahead, so 2 and 3 are pretty much the same as this. They don't really bring anything new to the table, so if you want to see them, check them out, but just don't expect anything much different from this. They are strangely still enjoyable to watch, but they are very samey. But if you can put a gap, take a break between watching each of them, that is going to be the best way to do it. Don't watch them back to back. Like I say, I'm just going off my memory for those because I've seen them on TV and it was a couple of years ago now. But I'm just saying, give them a try, but just remember they are very much the same as this. But yeah, no, we'll be back again tomorrow with Bride of Chucky. Quite possibly the bizarrest movie with this kind of subject, but we'll be back again tomorrow. But for now, this is Sketch, signing out and wanting to play.